heard that the Metallica boys were gonna play some heavy shit tonight.
Welcome to another episode of Metal Tales from the Road. I'm Ethan Luck, and we got Dave Ferraro in the house today. And the reason Dave's here is because he's a patron. And guess what? If you're a patron, you get access to cool shit like this. Everyone knows this at this point, right? We don't have to keep saying it, but I think we kind of do. It's a lot of cool stuff happening over there. And if you sign up for Patreon, you get to choose a show you've been to, past or future, and come on the show and talk about it and talk about your Metallica story. So be sure to go over to patreon.com/meltyourpodcast, and we'll make it happen at some point. So Dave Ferraro, thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Heck yeah, man. I'm excited as well. And I'm excited to talk about the show and hear your story and all that good stuff. I know we've obviously conversed a ton over the years and stuff like that. You're a bit of an OG.
I think so. I don't go all the way back to 81, but pretty damn close. So,
right. Or even OG with a little bit of an OG with the podcast.
Oh yeah, that too. But I got in during your third year.
Yeah.
The summer before the Nashville party is when I started listening. The last one that I was at.
At a certain point, it doesn't seem like year 3 seems like way longer ago. So I think at a certain point, my OG meter keeps getting pushed up and up. It's like, oh, you got on the ride in January of 2021. You're old school.
Yeah, what the heck?
Exactly.
As long as the payments go through.
Perfect, man. Well, we appreciate it as always, and to anyone else that's a patron, we greatly appreciate it. It's allowed us to do so many things with the podcast that we never expected to do by giving things back to people and all that stuff. I've got a pile full of Metal Beer Podcast picks in front of me right now that are going out to people that left reviews. We'll probably give some of those to patrons. We'll see, man.
Yeah, I got some coming my way because I guess Clint's tattoo that he didn't totally hide.
That's right. Yeah, totally. There, I saw that when he blacked it out, and there you can see the little ends of the M sticking out. Of course, I knew what it was already, so it was easy, but it was amazing how many people didn't get it. And
as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know what that is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, man, those picks, Clint started sending some out. I'm going to send some out this week. And as people will hear on the current episode, we're going to be doing Metal Beer Podcast patches for people leaving positive reviews in August. So I guess I still have a bunch of sheets full of patches. We got to give them to the people.
Is that your new Ninja Star on the wall behind you?
That is, man. Yeah, that's from Jeff Fireball right there. Yeah. Probably a dangerous place to hang it so high up, and I literally just hung it on a screw. So
there won't be anybody walking under that by the looks of it. So.
I mean, no, you'd have to sit on top of my little record case right there.
Right.
Now, if you are sitting there and there's a random earthquake in Tennessee, which shouldn't happen, but then you might get stabbed in the head with that thing.
Yeah. After the last year, would an earthquake really surprise you?
Not really. And it wouldn't necessarily bother me being from Southern California, but Nashville isn't necessarily prepared for earthquakes, we'll say.
No, I've felt 2 little tremors in my life, and it's weird as hell. But for you probably got whatever.
Oh, dude, I can't tell you how many earthquakes I slept through growing up. I'd wake up, and I'd turn the news on. It's like there was a 4.8 earthquake last night, and I was like, oh, didn't feel that one. But there's definitely ones that will wake you up. It literally feels like someone is just rattling your bed, and it's just the craziest rumble sound, and just get in the doorway or whatever. But
and cross your fingers.
It's a trip. I'll say this: I'll take earthquakes any day over tornadoes, which we have here, obviously, and especially the one last year that got way too close to my house. Other than that, earthquakes. I'll take earthquakes all day.
Has everything been rebuilt? More or less
for the most part, yeah. But there's still obvious damage around my neighborhood. certain buildings over in an area called Five Points in East Nashville where some stuff it's torn down, but it's just rubble. And Nashville's so busy with construction and stuff. I'm sure it's really hard to move fast with rebuilding your business and stuff like that. But a lot of stuff is getting rebuilt.
Sure.
Some stuff it has been rebuilt to reopen, all that stuff. At the end of my street, there's still like a couple houses just missing. They tore them down and hauled it off, and they haven't rebuilt a house yet. So it's weird. You can definitely. I'm reminded of it still like every day. Even just like the skyline of my neighborhood, like the tree line down the hill from me is like gone. It's like it used to be these huge tall trees right there, and they're all just gone now. So it's weird. I don't want to have to do that again. But
no. Let's hope you don't.
If it was up to me, for a tornado to hit my street again, I would say no. I'm good, thank you.
Right, go next door, down the road, around the block.
Thanks for the offer, but I think it was too close last time.
Yeah.
Well, man, let's dive into your Metallica story. When you got into the band, first record you bought, first song you heard, all that kind of stuff. Inquiring minds want to know.
I was in 4th grade, so it was the springtime of '86, and some dude brought a cassette to school, and it was Kill 'Em All. So the very, very first note of Metallica that I ever heard was Anesthesia.
Wow.
Which is, it's a hell of a great way to start. And then, Anesthesia into Whiplash. And I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
But right away, I was sucked right in.
Especially in 4th grade.
Yeah. My extent of music was, mom's old Neil Diamond records. And, I wasn't in a house where music was playing all the time. It was just kind of found my own way to whatever sounded cool.
Yeah.
And I heard that. And then I listened to that cassette a lot, and I got kind of familiar with it, but then I kind of just, I was 10 years old or whatever. I moved away from it and just kind of forgot about it for a little while. And then I remember very clearly seeing in the newspaper at the end of September when Cliff had passed. And I remember seeing that, and I was just like, oh, that's that band, that's that guy. Like, I didn't have a real connection to it, but sure. I remembered it was that band. So then I kind of dove back into it. And then I kind of got away from Metallica for a couple of years. And then like Appetite for Destruction came out the following year.
Yeah.
And then like late 87, early 88, I really started getting back into Metallica a lot. And it's kind of been the same ever since.
That's so cool, man. Especially at such a young age. I mean, it seems like we're probably very similar in age. And, I first heard them obviously a little bit later, maybe in 88, 89. But what a trip for your first thing to hear as a 4th grader is Anesthesia.
So then it started, like, I remember Justice came out. I think Justice was the first album that I bought, the first Metallica album. It was either that or I went back and got Lightning. I don't really remember.
Right.
But when Justice came out and the one video, like, that was when it really took hold. And I was just like, oh, wow. Like, these guys, this is awesome. Like, I couldn't stop listening to it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and also putting, putting these guys' faces to the music you've been listening to, because, when I was that young, I wasn't really buying, like, I don't think I started buying, like, hard rock magazines until probably, I'd say 6th or 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
So
probably the same. I
don't know what, these dudes look like. I just remember seeing the one video being like, oh my gosh, this is just scary. But I love it,
Yep. 100%. It was, so yeah, Justice changed a lot. And then, then the Black Album obviously just was everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And at the time, like, Enter Sandman, it was just a cool song. It wasn't, I never had the, they sold out thoughts or feelings or any of that crap. It was just a cool record. And
yeah,
it was, and then when the video, Year and a Half in the Life came out, it's just everything from that point on, like, it really just got bigger and bigger and bigger in my world. Mm-hmm. And, that I just couldn't wait to see them.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'm like, a lot like you, where I wasn't the true in the early 80s. You know, maybe if I was like a teenager in the early 80s or something, it would have been different if I was discovering that music. But yeah, the Black Album to me was just like, oh my gosh, this thing is, it sounds amazing. The songs are cool. Like, I didn't care. Like, you know, at that point, you know, I know the first CD I ever bought was Puppets, but you know, the first new Metallica record I got was the Black Album. You know, when that came out, it was like I got the cassette of it, and that, you know, that might have been the first Metallica album I actually bought in any format, was the Black Album on cassette. But I was already into them from other friends and stuff, and then when I started buying CDs, that's when I bought Puppets. But yeah, it didn't matter to me. Like, you know, I didn't care that it was with this big producer that did Motley Crue, or they spent way longer on it, more money on it, or anything.
I didn't even know what any of that meant at that time, really.
Yep, totally.
Like, you know, it was just, it sounded awesome.
But that's, you know, that's kind of a tale that's been probably overtold for so many decades at this point, is, you know, the whole sellout argument.
It's crap. It's just total crap.
It's just tired, man. You know, I remember that same kind of thing happening when I was in high school with Green Day and them signing to, you know, a major label and stuff like that. And like most bands, they're, you know, you start off as a band, you want people to hear your music. You know, I'm 42 and I still want people to hear my music. You know, if I got the opportunity to sign to a label, even just for my instrumental stuff, and it meant more people could hear the music I've created down here in my studio, then great, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's, you know, we could sit down and talk about, you know, legitimate ways people have sold out and things like that, you know, and maybe abandoned who they were just for money and stuff like that. But I mean,
sure,
I don't think that's Metallica or Green Day. I mean, Green Day, you know, for example, shoot, they had most of the songs written for Dookie. They would have, you know, recorded them on their label at the time, you know, but
right, somebody would have recorded it and put it out.
Exactly. It just happened to become one of the biggest selling records in the 90s. But who cares? It's still a great record.
Yep. I saw them in 1994, and it was a cool show.
That was the year, man.
Yeah,
that was like the re-explosion of punk. I mean, you know, that between that and Offspring Smash, you know, getting huge, it was just like, holy crap, you know. Then it kind of helped bands like Rancid, who has already been around, like get more exposure and all that stuff, and kind of opened the door on a lot of that 90s punk rock stuff, which I'm a huge fan of.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, Justice opened the door, then the Black Album, then I went back and, you know, got really familiar with Master of Puppets, which to this day, that's still that's my album.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the one for me. That'll never be equaled by anyone, in my opinion.
Right.
And you know, and then the 94 was the first time that I saw Metallica on the Shit Hits the Shed, like at the end of the Black Album tour.
Yeah. And
that just kind of changed everything. I was like, holy shit, like these guys are just amazing. And it's just progressed ever since.
Sure.
And then just when I thought I couldn't be any more of a fan, along comes Metal Up Your Podcast. And it's just great. It's great.
You're like, oh, there's other super nerds like me out there.
My wife was having a couple of laughs at my expense last night, because I was jotting down some notes from the show and, you know, for today. And she's like, you're such a nerd. I'm like, yeah.
It's how it is, man. I mean, listen, I think podcasting in general, maybe not so much anymore, but it was kind of this nerdy thing, like in a way, kind of an underground thing. I mean, I remember hearing about podcasts even as far back as like 05, 06, but never really cared or knew what they were. And then, you know, starting getting into them maybe like 7-8 years ago. And I'm realizing, like, man, like, just depending on what you're a fan of, there's probably a podcast out there for it. And it's essentially just like, you know, you have these little groups of nerds that are like, oh, I'm into, you know, guitar repair. They're okay. There's probably a podcast for that. You know, I'm into D&D or Fortnite or the Rubik's Cube and whatever. You can probably think of it, and there's probably a podcast for it. So that's what's cool about, you know, what we created and didn't know what it was going to become. But yeah, it's just cool that people like yourself are along for the ride and found our little clubhouse. Yeah.
A friend told me about it, and I actually got a guy that I work with just last week just started listening.
Oh, nice.
So he went back to episode 1. He came to me yesterday, and he brought up the Outlaw Torn.
You're like, dude, don't worry, he's been vindicated.
Yeah, I'm like, it's still going on a little bit, but they get past it finally a couple of years later.
I think one of my favorite moments in editing these episodes was when I got to insert clips of Morgan Freeman talking about being a free man from Shawshank Redemption because of me finally being released from Outlaw Torn prison.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lars.
It was a good moment for sure.
So as far as the 90s is concerned, since we were kind of on that era in talking with Green Day and stuff like that, at that point you saw them in 94. How were you feeling about Load and Reload at that time in your life?
Load was a couple of years after that. I remember hearing Until It Sleeps, I think Until It Sleeps was the first song I heard from that era. And same thing, like obviously it's different. Mm-hmm. It's not, Ride the Lightning or Blackened or, it's not that, but I thought it was cool. There's still, I listen to more of it now for sure.
Right.
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't in part because of Clint.
Sure. Same with me. Yeah.
But I mean, they're still not my go-to albums, but I listen to them a lot more now.
Right.
There's some really, really cool stuff on those records.
For sure, man.
So.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of having a group like this within the podcast is, everyone's got their era, everyone's got their favorite records, this and that, but I feel like us as hosts and also people as fans and listeners we've all turned each other on to different things, even outside of Metallica, when we've played songs on radio episodes and things like that. But I'm in the same boat as you, where like I wasn't a huge fan of Load and Reload until we started doing this podcast and dissecting the records ourselves, doing full episodes on them, track by track, all that stuff. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of really good stuff on these records.
Right. I've been missing out for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely. And even friends I have that were like trues, Jeff Firebaugh, who made the Ninja Star behind me. I mean, he told me the same thing one day. He's like, man, I downloaded Load and Reload and I'm at work and I put Metallica's entire catalog on shuffle and those songs will come up and he's like, I'm enjoying all of them for the first time in my life. I'm like, that's so awesome.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Outlaw Torn, it's since, honestly, I think it was probably S&M2 that when it finally got released and I could watch and see what I saw when I was in the room. Mm-hmm. James's performance, like what he had to have been going through in his mind at that point, knowing that he was going to go away
right
very shortly after that. And just, you could just see it, like the I don't know what, if it's just pain or whatever the hell he was feeling,
right,
just poured out of him. And that was powerful. It was really, really powerful. And that my love for that song in particular and that version of it even is just like off the charts. It's so
for
good.
Sure.
So good.
Yeah, it's really good. I remember when the S&M2 vinyl showed up and that song came on, I was just like, man, this sounds so good. Even seeing it, me and Paul went and saw it in the theaters together, and man,
I went myself.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I mean, we went like on one of the earlier showings that day, and I remember just. And that was a different mix from the final, record.
It's even better.
And it sounded so good in the theater, man. It was like, man, Greg Fiddleman and his team just killed it. And mm-hmm. Also, I think their talents is, on the production side of things and mixing and mastering, I think only exacerbate how good James's performance was on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah. And the Unforgiven 3 too. I mean, it was crazy good. Crazy good.
Yeah, it was so cool.
I want to mention real quick because I don't know when this is going to come out, but it is Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday.
And August 3rd. And I know for a fact that he's going to be listening to this. So happy birthday, James Hetfield.
Happy birthday, James. Well, he's going to hear it probably 4 or 5 weeks from now. We've been recording a bunch of these and we're pretty backlogged in a good way. That was the goal, was like, let's start knocking these out. Then we don't have to worry about it. They just come out, rather than, every week trying to schedule somebody. It's like, we're just kind of scheduling them now. And sometimes we'll do 3 or 4 in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that, And they're not, these are pretty chill for us because it's not like an episode where there's like a bunch of research or me and Clint have to get together. It's just, we're doing this by ourselves, and these are usually 45 minutes to an hour. So it's just like hanging out, talking to an old friend.
Yeah, man.
A frozen friend, because your video's still frozen.
I don't even know how the hell to like, I'm playing around here. I don't even know how the hell to fix this.
The way that it froze makes it look like I just said something that you're like, I'm not sure I feel about that.
Yeah, I have that image on my screen.
All right, so moving on. I'm curious. At this point, this is a common thread with people who have been Metallica fans for a long time. A lot of people didn't have other friends to talk to about this kind of stuff and share this music with. It sounded like something you did early on in elementary school with someone introducing you to Kill 'Em All in the 4th grade. Did that continue on throughout the years of being a fan? Like, you had buddies that you listened to with?
Well, kind of. When I got into middle school and the high school, because I was in such a small town, it was a regional, so there was 3 towns in our school. So when I got to 7th grade, I met who became my best friend, Randy. And
Randy Watson? Randy Watson?
It was not Randy Watson.
It's a bummer.
Sadly.
You'll settle for another Randy.
Yeah. Randy Kinney. He was my best friend for a lot of years, and he passed away in 2005.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Which, thanks. But so I met Randy, and he's the one that I ultimately ended up starting my first band with. He was a guitar player, and same thing. He was big. He was probably more into them at the time than I was.
Yeah.
In Metallica. But we started playing guitar at about the same time. And I remember we'd get home from school and we'd call each other on the phone and literally just, hey, I just learned this riff, and put the phone down and play something. Like, I just learned Fade to Black, and it was that. And then it just took it, so he and I, the first time I saw them, he and I went together. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool. That's very special too. And
yep.
I'm sure a very fond memory of your friend Randy who passed away. And
man, that was the first and only time he ever saw them.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's so cool that you got to be there with him.
Yep. And so he filled that void for a while.
Yeah.
And then it's been since then, since before you guys came along, I didn't have that real true, like, dude, James did an interview today. Like, I didn't have that to anyone to talk to.
Yeah, sure.
At least that in depth. People were Metallica fans that love it, and then ultimately gets to, well, everything after Justice blows.
Right.
Like, all right, I can't talk to you about this shit.
Yeah, I'll still randomly get it. If I just, let's say I'm out, I don't know, on vacation somewhere, and I just randomly start talking to somebody on the beach, and they're wearing a Metallica shirt, and the podcast comes up, and they're like, dude, after the Justice record, they fucking sucked, and this and that. It's like, I don't want to talk about that, dude. I feel completely different than you do, and I'm not going to convince you here in 5 minutes. So.
Right. Because then it'll turn to Napster and all that other crap, and you're just like, oh my God, shoot me now.
It's just like the sellout thing, man. It's a tired argument at this point. It's like, dude, the Napster thing was 20 years ago. Like,
yeah,
come on.
I just tell people, go see them.
Yeah,
go see them live, and then try and tell me that they suck and they sold out.
Or if you don't give a shit about any record after Justice, great. Go listen to those records. That's fine. I still listen to those records.
Right.
Just so you know, you're missing out on a lot of good stuff, though.
Uh-huh.
But it's not thrash.
Yeah, spit out the bones, not thrash. Fuck you.
There's acoustic guitar on Kill 'Em All, everybody. It's like, come on. By the way, I love that they didn't get shit for acoustic guitar until Fade to Black, or maybe even the intro to Fight Fire. But there's literally acoustic guitar on the bridge of I think it's Phantom Lord on Kill 'Em All. And like nobody cared back then, and then all of a sudden it's like Fade to Black. It's like, wait a second, these sellouts.
Yeah, because it didn't slow down, so they were like, whatever, it doesn't count.
Yeah, for sure. Shoot, the bridge to Four Horsemen is, what Clint calls the Sweet Home Alabama part. That's not really thrashy or metally and stuff like that. But I've always, you got me going on a tangent a little bit here, but I'm always blown away when people are like, if let's say they hear a song like The Outlaw Torn and they're like, it's some Metallica, this and that. It's like, man, to me, there's a lot of The Outlaw Torn that sounds like Black Sabbath to me. Who are credited as like the inventors of metal.
Yeah.
And so for them to do stuff like that and you say like, dude, this sucks. It's like, dude, they're doing what Black Sabbath that's done forever. Like, just enjoy it, man. If you don't like it, that's okay. But, you don't have to, raise your Truanon flag and get all tore up about it. Go listen to that shit if you want to just.
We don't care.
Exactly. I guess we care enough that we're talking about it right now, but
No, the people that are whining about it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's everything like that is just, sometimes, there'll be like a random ad or something on Facebook for Metallica and or like one of the Blacklist tracks, comes out. And I foolishly all the time just like click on the comment section and it's just, I immediately just get annoyed. I'm like, why do I even click on this? It's so stupid. Like, it's going to be the same people that are just, oh, this isn't as good as the original. Like, great. It's a cover. Like, calm down. Right. No one cares if you don't like it.
And like you said, here we are talking about it.
I know. We're guilty. Guilty as charged. Well, cool, man. Well, let's talk about this Madison Square Garden show from 2009. Let me pull it up here because not all the shows on Metallica's website will have some facts and things like that, but there's a bunch on this one.
This one does. There's one fact in particular that I thought was really, really cool was when jump ahead. Well, I'll wait till we get to Fade to Black, but there's a really cool factoid about that song on there that you're probably looking at right now.
Right. I'm gonna read a couple of these. I'm gonna skip over that one, but this is I'll read a few here. This was the 114th show on the World Magnetic Tour and the 88th performance in 2009. This is the second show of 2 nights at the Madison Square Garden. 6th time overall they've played Madison Square Garden. This is such a random fact right here. I'm going to read this in a different voice because it kind of makes sense. This was the 57th time that Metallica has performed within 50 miles of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
That's so random. That's such a, like, it's like when when they start talking about like weather facts on the news and stuff like that. It's like, there's a 46% chance that a tornado could strike within 0.78 miles, or it's like stats, like baseball stats, like I'm a big Dodgers fan. When Vin Scully would call the games and there'd be a timeout or something was happening, he would just rap off these random facts. Back in 1998, I'm trying to think of a funny baseball name player like
from the 80s?
No, just like a fake one. Me and my friends used to do it all the time. Like Roger Ledhand. He went to University of Southern California in Los Angeles, and he actually had an ERA of 2.63. It's like, okay, on a Wednesday.
Yeah, when he pitched on Wednesdays, and he came into the game after 8:00 p.m.
That's what this fact about this MSG show just reminds me of. It's so random.
Yeah, they definitely dive deep with some of that stuff.
Yeah, and I won't really get into the rest of the facts just yet, just because there's a couple. Obviously, they talk about some tracks they've played so in the set list. But we'll get into it. So let's kind of walk us through getting to the show, who you went with, if you were by yourself, whatever, like anything you can memorable memories.
Yeah, so I'm from Connecticut originally, so I lived just outside of Hartford, and drove down with my girlfriend at the time, who we now refer to her as she who shall not be named.
Fair,
amongst my friends. Drove down. It's only like a 2-hour drive, and I parked a couple blocks from the Garden, and we got a quick bite to eat, and I jumped in line as quickly as I could for the doors because we were on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And got in like super early, right as soon as the gates opened. We got right in and got right down on the floor, and I was right on the rail, dead center stage. So it was like perfect in that regard.
Yeah.
And this was my first. So I saw them in '04, and I was on the rail technically, but it was over where the like where the walkway is, where the boys come in.
Yeah.
And then they close it off for the show. So I was on the rail, but it was like in the corner, like not right there. Like every so often somebody would come to that little wing and I'd see them. So yeah, I was on the rail, but it didn't really count. Kind of really, it was weird. But this show, bam, right there. I have a handful of pictures that are just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like how good it was right there. So I was stoked because that was one of my goals driving down there was got to get on the rail, got to get a drumstick from Lars, which I did.
Awesome.
And that he actually used. It wasn't one of the throwaways at the end of the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is rare because he doesn't throw out a lot of sticks.
Yeah, it seems like he usually just kind of saves it for the end. I'm sure his drum tech will kind of save the ones that he didn't or that he disposed of during the show and hand them to him at the end of the night to give out to fans.
Yep. So, but no, they breaking news, they played one at the show. I know it's a deep cut, but
that's crazy.
They played one. He ended and he got up and walked over towards my side and just lobbed the stick right in. I pulled it right out of the air. I was like, holy shit.
Awesome. That had been a good feeling.
Yeah. And there's video of it because I have the show on, I got a bootleg DVD of it and you can see it.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Yeah. So got there super early, got in and, they have a pretty strict structure with their sets now. I mean, that's no secret.
Yeah.
So we knew the first two songs and then Creeping Death after End of the Line it might be the best live version of Creeping Death I've ever heard. And yes, I'm biased because I was right there, but it's pretty awesome. There's a video on the website if you want to check it out later, but
yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
So, and my girlfriend was kind of like, yeah, I'll go see Metallica with you.
Yeah.
And she was big into like Fish and hippie shit and whatever, but she was like, yeah, I'll go. I'm like, okay.
It's pretty hippie.
Yeah. Like when I got my spot, I was just like, well, I'm going to be here for the next few hours. So if we get lost or separated, I will be right here.
Right. Yeah, baby. They're totally a jam band. You should totally come. Everyone, it's some relationship advice. Find someone that looks at you the way that we look at James.
That's rough.
It's my advice.
That's hard. That's hard to do.
I know. It's really tough.
Yeah. And luckily my wife she's nowhere near where I am, but she would classify herself as a fan.
Cool.
But she's been a trooper the last couple of years. We've traveled all around and she has seen some great shows. Like the 4 that she's been to have been some pretty cool shows.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you guys have tickets for the 40th anniversary shows?
Yeah, both nights.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We got the tickets for night 1, and I hope our touring schedule does not change because
I hope that works out.
Like it's one thing, we can't make it to Louder Than Life because we've got a show with Morgan that day. But man, if I got to miss this 40th anniversary thing, I'm gonna be really bummed out.
I'm the speculation that like you don't know what the hell they're gonna do.
Yeah, no idea.
They don't like to repeat themselves, so it's not going to be a repeat of the 30th.
Which would be fine if they did that. I think people would be, we did some mild speculation on our latest episode, but even if they did the same kind of format, it's like, okay, like it's the same thing, but shoot, this is awesome. I love it. But that's not Metallica's style, and I think that maybe
exactly.
that what they did for the 30th anniversary shows was way more fitting that they were in like a small club at the Fillmore,
Sure.
This is an arena show, so it's going to be big, and I'm really anxious to see what they do.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Now let's just hope that they actually happen.
Right. Yeah. Things are obviously changing a little bit with different COVID protocols and variants and all that stuff. I mean, shoot, I'm going to be on the road all fall. I hope everything's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Get
can't
vaccinated, people.
Yeah, please do. And I'll say this, obviously if you're vaccinated like this other variant, you can definitely get it. My neighbor got it. She's vaccinated, but like like what a lot of vaccines are, which I hate that people kind of ignore this part of it, is that it's not always a cure. You know what I mean? But it's going to minimize, if you get it, it's going to minimize those symptoms like crazy. My neighbor who got it, she's vaccinated. She's 87 years old.
Oof.
She got it, and she basically, it was like she had a mild case of bronchitis.
Sure.
She went to her doctor. They tested her. Oh, you have COVID again. Not again, but, as someone who's vaccinated. But, I mean, she's 87. She's going to be just fine. If she wasn't vaccinated, she may not be around, so.
I probably wouldn't. Yeah.
My hope is that I cannot see, and maybe it might vary state by state or county by county, but I can't see them doing a shutdown like they did last year. I think a lot of people in this country would go crazy and riot.
It's not already?
Well, yes, more crazy. But, shoot, I'm fine if they just want to hey, indoor concerts, or you had to wear a mask, otherwise you can't come in,
Yeah, okay.
Take it off during the show, you're going to get kicked out if you won't put it back on. Great. Sign me up. I'm in. I'll mask up. I'll mask up while I'm playing on stage. I don't give a shit.
Right.
I am just now about to start going back to work since March of last year. So please, people, I want my job back.
Oh yeah.
And we mildly joke. Me and people like me and Clint and Paul and stuff. We mildly joked last year, oh yeah, our industry would be the last one to come back, and it was.
Yeah,
it totally was. Like big shows are just now happening, and it's kind of scary, kind of cool. It's Lollapalooza just happened. Green Day's on that massive stadium tour. It's hopefully people will be smart and look after one another so we can all enjoy these things once again and not have to worry. That's my hope.
That's the hope right there. Cross your fingers.
But there's a microchip in the vaccine. I brought that up. So I have a friend. We'll get off the vaccine talks. I don't want to, bum people out, I guess. But I have a friend that actually is on the board of directors for Pfizer.
Oh wow!
So he was very educating talking to him before they came out and all that stuff about what's in them, effectiveness, all this stuff, their trials they did for a while and stuff like that. And it was really comforting to talk to someone like him because I'm not an anti-vaxxer by any means. I'm like one of those people that's if you need it, then you should get it. And I feel like this where we are now with everything, especially speaking specifically about the music industry, it's this is a once in a lifetime thing that I feel yes, I need to do this because if not, there's a chance that I could go on a tour where they're requiring you to be vaccinated. I mean, shoot, when me and Clint played our first show together with Morgan, we had to send in pictures of our vaccine cards and all that stuff, and it's just how it is. It sucks, but it's look, I don't want to wear a mask. I'm sick of them. But if it means I can go see one of the 40th anniversary shows, I posted on the Discord today, roll me in there in a bubble. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I saw that.
I really don't really look, whatever I got to do to see this show or to go back on the road and have my job back and play some shows, great. I don't care. When I was still working for Kings of Leon, when we were doing video shoot stuff, I was getting tested 3 times a day. No swabs like crazy. When I worked a live stream show, it's it's just, okay, cool. That means I can come in here and work. Great. I'm in.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
But anyways, I digress.
Yeah. So let's see. So where were we? Creeping Death.
Sure.
Yeah.
Creeping Death sounds good.
Yeah. No, I mean, just a great version. So, and this show had, one of the reasons I was so excited about this show in particular was there were 5 songs that I had not seen them play before, and I haven't seen them play since. So, and I've seen them quite a few times now. So,
were those 5 songs the 5 they played off of Death Magnetic?
No, because I saw them in January.
Oh, the same year.
On this tour.
Okay. I assumed that this was only your second show.
Oh, ever?
A second Metallica show.
No, this was number 11.
Oh wow, okay. Little detail that you left out. I just assumed this was
we jumped around. So I saw them in 94.
Yeah.
I saw them in 97, which is the Cunning Stunts leg.
Yeah.
I saw them in 98. That was in the amphitheater when they did the little acoustic set in the middle and all that. Then I saw Woodstock 99, and I was at the S&M show that was at Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Those were both 99, and I saw both Summer Sanitariums. And then I went to Albany and Boston in 04.
Okay.
Boston again in 08, and then these two in 09. I think that's all of them. But yeah, so this was number 11.
Yeah, okay, nice. At first I thought that would have been funny if you're like, yeah, there's 5 songs they played that I hadn't seen before, and it was literally the ones they hadn't played live yet.
Like ever.
I mean, for me, the first time I saw them, it was there was 18 songs I hadn't seen live yet.
Right. Yeah, so the first of those songs was The Shortest Straw.
Oh, cool.
Which that was a treat. That was a treat because they don't play that often, really at all.
You're right. I feel like there was a little factoid about this. Yeah, this was the 3rd time that The Shortest Straw was performed within 50. Hang on.
Another geography.
This was the first time that The Shortest Straw was performed within 50 miles of MSG. It was last played in the arena on July 29th, 1982 in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I mean, it was raw. I think if I remember correctly, James had a couple of little like vocal flubs in the middle, but like he does, he's a pro. He covered them, and
sure, yeah,
they rocked out the song. It was awesome.
That's great.
And then all right, so one of the really cool facts from this show was Fade to Black, and I didn't know this at the time. This was just the 2nd time ever that James played the clean parts on an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
On stage.
Because he always used to do an electric.
Yeah, and I went back and checked the show. 5 shows previously, like a couple weeks before this, was the first time he had ever done it. So it was brand new.
He must have been nervous about it, man, because you would think, if it went off great the first night, he would have just kept doing it. Or maybe there was some sort of little hiccup or something and it wigged him out, and so he waited a few more shows. But, I mean, I think it sounds great, especially with that guitar he has. I think it's line 6 makes it where it can sound like a 12-string, a 9-string, whatever.
Well, at the time, it was, I'm pretty sure in saying, and there's pictures of it, like it was just a straight acoustic guitar. There was nothing fancy about it. Like,
yeah, I think the one he plays now. Okay, here I found the photo right here. It looks like an Ovation, but I don't think it is. I can't quite tell what kind of guitar. What's weird is it's the same shape as that line 6 one he plays, but maybe it was line 6. I don't know.
It could have been, sure.
Sure, let's call it that.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, the one he plays now, I mean, it's got graphics all over and stuff like that, but other than that, it just looks like a normal acoustic. All the stuff that I'm talking about obviously happens internally, so yeah, maybe that one did have that feature. I don't know.
It could have, but so anyway, saw something rare, so I was pretty stoked about that.
That's awesome.
Broken Beat and Scarred. That song's just killer. I love there's a lot of riffs in it. But then My Apocalypse, the next song, that's another one of the rare ones. First time, only time for me with that one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. And then Sad and One. I mean, every time I've ever seen them, they've played both of those.
Yeah.
So, but I did get my drumstick at the end of one. So
that's pretty rad, though. Was it like? Could you tell like, oh, he was just playing with those sticks, or was it from like another pile?
No, he literally like, the one end. It's like a little machine gun, and he hit the last hit on the snare, and he jumped out of his throne or his seat or whatever, and beelined it right to the side of the stage, right over where I was. Within a couple of seconds, I had the stick in my hand.
Wow, that's so cool, man.
Yeah, and I luckily I'm 6'4", so I'm kind of tall.
It helps when you're trying to catch picks or drumsticks.
Yeah, and he lobbed the stick up in the air, and I just, holy shit! And I remember just reached up and pulled it right out of the air, and I just pulled it in close to me and tucked in, like, and just held it. And people were trying to grab it for a minute, and I was like, "It's mine! Back the fuck off! It's mine! It's mine!"
Yeah, man.
And people were cool. Like, it was only like a couple of seconds that were trying to get it, but once they realized I had it, it was, everyone was cool about it.
That's cool. That's awesome.
But yeah, so that was one of the three things that I really wanted this to happen at this show. The first one was the rail. Second, I actually called it in the car ride on the ride down to my girlfriend. I was like, I want to be on the rail. I want a drumstick. And I really, really want to hear a song that's coming up later that was my bucket list song.
And I'm eventually going to break up with you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Those are my goals at the Metallica show.
About a year later.
You're like, you know what? You weren't down with the rail, so bye-bye.
You can't hang. See you later. So Judas Kiss was really cool. That's one of those Death Magnetic songs that, like, it's cool, but it doesn't thrill me, really.
Right.
But it's cool.
I love that tune,
and Kirk played that weird freaking guitar that he has.
Oh, yeah, the weird spaceship guitar.
Yeah, it looks like an oxygen canister or something.
That thing is weird. Yeah, I remember watching one of the shows we did an episode on, and him playing that. I'm like, what on earth is he playing? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think we did some research on it and talked about it, but yeah, it's just kind of odd.
That's the best word for it, is that weird guitar, and you knew exactly what I meant.
That weird one. You could look like a jetpack or something.
Yep. Yeah, we start shooting fire like Ace Frehley or something.
Which that would be awesome.
It would be, but I don't think James would probably like that too much.
Kirk, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't trust you to not aim that at me. You're too in the moment sometimes, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was fun. Day That Never Comes, Master of Puppets. Obviously, they're going to play that every time ever, which is totally okay. That's one of the ones that they play every single show that I'm. All right, yeah, you got to play Master of Puppets.
Have to.
So
it's a must.
But then I almost fell over after Master of Puppets. They started the intro tape. I had been tracking the set lists for like the last couple of weeks leading up to the show.
Yeah.
Pretty much from the moment, the first time I listened to Justice, Dyer's Eve has been my song. That's
man.
My favorite Metallica song by far. Like, couldn't believe the intro tape. So I knew when they ended Puppets, I'm like, okay, if they're going to play it tonight, it's going to be in this spot on the set. Like, I knew that much.
Right.
And they started the intro tape, and I was just like
no
holy
way.
Shit.
This is really happening.
I didn't know how to react. I, honest to God, was just like, what's happening right now?
Yeah. And
it was.
And according to the facts, it was the third time that Dyer's Eve was played on this leg of the tour.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, I don't know what the number is now, but I think it's just a couple of dozen times that they've played it ever.
Let's find out, shall we? It's been performed 35 times.
Ever. Yeah.
Ever. 35 times. First time wasn't until 2004.
Yep.
And then most recently was still 11 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
Lightning in a Bottle. Holy shit, here's my song. And it was pretty tight. Kind of like with Short of Straws, I was a little aggravated because James had a couple of vocal mix-ups.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. I didn't care.
Let's see in comparison. So 35 times they performed Dyer's Eve. Master of Puppets, they've performed 1,653 times.
Yeah, I was going to say like 1,800 or something like that.
It's so crazy, man. I love all these facts on their website. It's just so cool, man. It's like, I know we've talked about it on the episodes before, but it's a fun deep dive on their website to look at song facts, tour facts, all that stuff. There's so much cool content, man. Whoever manages all this is a saint.
Lars got to have a hand in that somewhere.
I mean, I'm sure all the info and stuff a lot of this info is from him for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like you can look up every set list ever. It's like, it's so cool, man. It's like,
hey, Lars, when's the last time you played Master of Puppets on a Tuesday in July?
Within 100 miles of Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy.
Well, you see, we played that.
Well, actually, it was actually within 45 miles of Lexington, not Louisville.
Right. And it was a Wednesday.
That's right. It was a Wednesday matinee show.
Yeah. So, Dyer's Eve, I mean, it blew me away. So excited. And then it was nap time.
Yeah.
right after, because I needed a minute to recover. So Nothing Else Matters right after that I was okay with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that like Nothing Else Matters is, people will describe it as like, oh, I went to go take a leak, or I went to go get another beer or whatever. I've always felt that way when I've seen Metallica. When they started, I'm kind of like, okay, I love this song, but this is kind of like, maybe I should go to the bathroom right now. And then the second they kick into it, I'm like, no, I'm going to stay. Like, like, why? Like, I don't want to miss any songs.
That's my thing. And, and I rag on Nothing Else Matters and Enter Sandman, like in the sense that I would love to go to a show and not see either of those songs, because it could be two more like thrashy old songs that they could play.
Right.
But that's not going to happen ever.
Or Fixer.
Yeah. But then I ended up walking down the aisle at my wedding to a piano version of Nothing Else Matters.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's that connection to it. Yeah, the wife okayed it. I was
that's
like, okay.
Awesome. Well, it's your walk, not hers.
Right.
I walked out to Dyer's Eve. I'm just kidding.
That's how you do it.
That would have been amazing. It's like, all right, yeah, you and the guys are gonna come out. Cool. We're coming out to Dyer's Eve. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
But they got to play these two songs, obviously, with Nothing Else Matters and Sandman. It's like Metallica not playing Enter Sandman is like Journey not playing Don't Stop Believing. Like you just have you have to.
Exactly. So, and then did the little encore break, or whatever you would call it, the little intermission that was about a minute and a half long.
Mm-hmm.
And then James came out and he had something to say.
Right.
With Last Caress.
Exactly.
Which
he does.
I was like, pick it up. Come on, get it.
Oh, I got it. It's almost like when he did the before there was an era where before they play Fuel, he had an announcement to make.
Oh yeah.
That whole little trick. This is a cool encore though, man. Like starting with Last Caress.
Well, yeah, and then the next song is another first time, only time for me, and that they don't play often, was they pulled Trapped Under Ice out of mothballs and played it.
Yeah, pretty rad. Pretty rad.
And that was, they ripped it. It was fast. They were right on the money. Sounded great.
Pretty crazy too. Like I'm looking at some of the facts too. I always say like Metallica performed 18 songs from 7 different albums. It's pretty crazy too that they like this era they weren't playing anything off Saint Anger, and every once in a while Load and Reload, like maybe Fuel. But this show, there's nothing off Load or Reload.
Nope, nothing. And I have no complaints with the songs that they played. It was just awesome.
I mean, dude, you get to see one of 21 performances of Trapped Under Ice.
That's all they played it?
21 times.
Even less than Dyer's Eve.
Less than Dyer's Eve. But in comparison, they've played Last Caress 806 times.
Yeah. Which I've seen that. I think Last Caress, I looked, I don't know, 3 or 4 times I've seen Last Caress.
Yeah.
So in my, what am I at? 18 shows now?
Yeah. Crazy. So awesome.
Yeah. And then, the extended House Lights On, Seek and Destroy, Beach Balls, all that. So, which is cool. Yeah. Like, that was their closer. You knew it was coming. But seeing them with the House Lights On was cool.
Yeah, man. I hope they do that again in the future, where they close the main set with Sandman. I know I've probably talked about that too many times, but not that, and it's not a matter of like, I don't want to hear Sandman. It's just, I like when they end with their biggest song, and then in the encore, with the exception of maybe Seek and Destroy, you're like, I have no idea what they're going to play. Where on the World Wired tour, it was like, it's going to be Nothing Else Matters, a thrash slot, and Sandman,
Yeah. Well, that's what I like when they're doing an album cycle. The structure of the set's the same.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 rotating spots, and like that, that's what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
The coolest thing for me, and part of why I'm so excited for the shows coming up, the Louder Than Life and the 40th, is when they do these one-off shows. I went to the Big Four at Yankee Stadium, was the same way. You have no idea what they're going to play. None at all. They could do anything. For sure. And that's the coolest. It's not like, okay, first 2 songs I know, the 5th and 6th and 7th songs I know. No, you just complete no idea. That's the best way to do it. Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. And look, they can order their set however they want, but
the next album cycle, whenever that happens, I would love to see Sandman get moved to the end of the main set. And there might be some people that'll take off, like, oh, they played Sandman, time to go. But I think the majority of people will still stay there.
They opened with it for a while,
yeah,
on the Black Album tour, like, and that would be great for me.
Yeah,
I'm out of the way. Okay, cool.
it's pretty crazy they open with it, because that's always, in general, that's like a kind of a rule you don't break. It's like, hey, whatever your big song is at the moment, like, you usually close with that.
Yeah, for sure. The Poison with Nothing But a Good Time. Like,
yeah, something like
35 years later, they're still closing with it.
Well, and especially, it seems even crazy, like when they started touring the Black Album, because it's like, yeah, they were a big band, but they weren't a massive band, and all of a sudden you're a massive band, and you're opening with your biggest hit right now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but yeah, man, I don't know. This is a really cool set list. It makes me want to go. I always forget all the songs they played at the first show I saw in 2009 in Australia, but it was probably very similar to this. There's 4 or 5 songs from Death Magnetic, other stuff sprinkled in. I'm always curious. Like, I often forget, like, what little gems did I get, from the show I went to.
Yeah, it not music related from this show, but it was my first I've seen 2 now, but it was my first birthday pie show.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Kirk's birthday this was their last show before Kirk's birthday. It was like a couple days later.
Yeah.
So they got him with the whipped cream pies and all that. So that
cool.
was cool to see. And then I saw Rob's a couple of years ago on the World Magnetic.
Yeah.
World Magnetic. Listen to me. World Wired.
So check this out. I just pulled up the show I went to. It was actually 2010. My bad. October. It was on. I saw him on my birthday. I probably haven't read this on the show in a while, but it was a pretty rad set list, man. Maybe nothing as crazy as you getting, Dyer's Eve, but so it was that was Just Your Life, End of the Line, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Fuel, Fade to Black, Broken, Beaten, Scarred, Leper Messiah.
Oh, that's the one song I'm missing from Puppets I haven't seen.
I need to download this show because I was there. It was my first show. I should probably download that. Sabbath True, Turn the Page, All Nightmare Long,
Ooh.
One, Puppets. I got Blackened, Nothing Else Matters. So that 13th slot must have been the thrash slot, since you got Dyer's Eve. I got Blackened.
Yeah.
Then it was Nothing Else Matters, Sandman. Then it was Am I Evil, Whiplash, and Seek and Destroy.
That's a pretty killer set.
So
too.
that whole encore is Kill 'Em All era.
Yeah.
Because they recorded Am I Evil back then, and it ended up on a different CD release, I think, in the late '80s. But I remember when I first got the Kill 'Em All CD, it had Whiplash and
Am I Evil?
Or wait, no, sorry, not Whiplash. It had oh my God, Blitzkrieg.
Oh, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah,
Blitzkrieg.
Blitzkrieg and Am I Evil? Yeah, we're on there, and I just thought they were Metallica songs. I didn't know what cover songs were.
Me too. I still have that CD with those on it.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty cool set list.
It was awesome.
I haven't looked.
They played Dyer's Eve. I was like, I'm good. I don't ever have to see them again.
I know, right?
They played that was my white whale. That was, whatever you want to say.
Totally, man.
And they've, I can't wait to see them again. It's been too long.
I know.
Way too long.
I know. It's exciting that we're getting little glimpses through interviews of them, talking about the new record and working on that. And we don't know how far along they are. I mean, James at one point had mentioned 10 songs, but that doesn't mean there's 10 songs done. They might have 10 songs kind of close to ready. I don't know, but
yep,
it's definitely exciting. It's
been so long since I've been to a show.
I know, man.
But that's going to change tonight, because I'm going to see Guns N' Roses at Fenway Park tonight.
Oh, shoot, man. That'll be awesome. Who's opening?
That'll be fun. Eddie Van Halen's kid.
Oh, that's right. His band. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear how he'll be. I mean, I know he's an incredible musician, because he's Eddie Van Halen's son, of course. But
yeah. He was the bass player in Van Halen, man.
Yeah, dude. His last name is Van Halen. I'm sure he's a kick-ass musician. Of course he is.
Yeah.
He seems like a cool kid too. I'm sure. I think he's probably in his late 20s, early 30s at this point. But
he seems pretty well grounded.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. But that's cool, man. Well, yeah, definitely post your guns experience on the Discord server for all of us to check out. And
hell yeah.
And dude, thanks again for doing this, man. It was fun to talk about this MSG show.
Thanks, Ethan. Ever since I heard Metal Tales was a thing, this show. I was like, I got to do the show. Got to do the show. So
yeah, man. Well, we got it done. We got it knocked out.
Hell yeah.
We made it.
we did it.
Hey everyone, Clinton Ethan here, and we want to tell you about a little thing called Patreon. Patreon is an easy and interactive way to support the people who make the things that you love.
For as little as $5 a month, you can ensure that Metal Up Your Podcast can continue to grow in quality and content. That's equivalent to a cup of coffee or a beer once a month.
Not only is it easy and affordable, but we've made it a priority since day one to give back to our Patreon community. We've given away deluxe box sets, rare vinyl, Black and Whiskey,
concert tickets to S&M 2 and Slane Castle,
all 4 of our Cover Our World Black and EPs, 26 quarantine covers, and Lunar Satan demos,
invitations to exclusive Zoom happy hours, the ability to ask our guests like Jay Weinberg of Slipknot, Lizzie Hale, and members of the Metallica crew your very own questions.
and eligibility for our Metal Tales series, where you can be a guest on Metal Up Your Podcast and tell us all about a notable Metallica show you've been to.
Subscribe to Patreon today and immediately get access to years worth of bonus content.
Thank you for supporting the people who make the things that you love. Peace.
Adios.
I can't talk about it anymore. It's giving me a headache.
Here, take 2 of these.
Ah, new print. Little, yellow, different.